Hey, my friends, it's Randy, and it's Building Wins Live time. Another Friday, another day to get ahead of the game. It's not time to stop. It's time to pick up the pace. Let's go. Hey, today we are going to have another fun guest, as we always do. We're going to go back to the industry a little bit today. The last 3 weeks, we've went slightly out of the industry, if you will, to some a lot of sales and motivational type guys, which is fun. And we'll be going back there. Don't worry. But today we're going to go back to the industry with a guy, Mark Stover, who's president of Permacolumn. And we're going to talk about what I believe to be one of the most innovative products come into the post-frame industry in a long, long time. And I've been doing this for how long? Say it with me, 4+ decades. We know it's been a while. I don't get this gray hair for nothing. But anyways, actually it makes me look smarter and it's not working. But anyways, that's another story for another day. Right now we're going to be back in about 15 seconds. That's 3 of these with Mark Stover, president of Permacolumn. Don't go away. There he is.
Hey.
Another guy with gray hair. I love it.
Yeah. Well, we work hard for this.
Yeah, we do. I told Wes that we are no longer going to have guests on the show that look way younger than me. We're not doing it.
That's going to be tough. That might be tough.
It may be. Well, welcome. Thank you for coming. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
You're welcome, man. You're welcome. So, it's fun to get back to the, as we were talking off stage here, off show, offline, whatever you want to call it, a couple minutes ago. Last week we had Marvin Montgomery. The week before that we had Ben Gay III, and we've been doing a lot of great sales and marketing chats, and we're going to talk a little of that today ourselves.
Sure.
But it's fun to get back to, for me, to get back to the industry, back to the roots of what I do, because post-frame building is kind of where I've been for like my whole life, just about one shape or another, probably since I was about 15 years old, working out on a crew, picking up, back in the day it was nails, because we used to use the neoprene nails, right? But so I'm looking forward to chatting with you. So I appreciate the time and the effort. Yeah. And so before we get started, I always like to start with the ever popular who in the world is Mark Stover. Give us a little background on Mark.
Sure,
if you don't mind.
Sure. Well, I'm passionate about post frame, so hopefully over the next 45 minutes you'll feel that. I'm also passionate about my family. I've got 5 kids, 5 grandkids, and 1 on the way, and it's an international family. My wife is Canadian, so I've got 3 Canadian girls, one U.S. son, and one U.S. daughter. So. I've traveled the world many times, lived in different countries, and most recently it's been Chicago, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Michigan. I lived up in Norton Shores, and now with Permacolumn in Fort Wayne. So pretty diverse background when it comes to living in different cultures, and I think that's certainly helped me in what we're trying to do here at Permacolumn. Started my career in sporting equipment. So actually Brunswick Bowling. So I learned what the distributor network was all about, and also got into new construction of building bowling centers throughout the country, the U.S., as well as around the world. Spent time in China and Taiwan and Korea and Japan.
Oh, no kidding.
America and Europe. So was kind of a world traveler. I see you travel all the time, but generally it's domestic. So if I was going to podcast, I'd be on an airplane, probably flying to Seoul, Korea, or something of that type. And then jumped to home improvement. In Chicago, I was part of a startup where we manufactured vinyl windows and doors for the remodeling industry.
Okay.
And we started from zero, and after 7 years, we grew to $25 million in sales. So I think I got a pretty good perspective of what it takes to get into the business, what it takes to sustain the business, and then what it takes to kind of thrive, in the business itself. And then the past 6 years has been post frame, which has been an industry I knew nothing about. When I first took the job and I moved to Tulsa, Oklahoma, I called all my friends up and I said, "Hey, I'm in the post frame business." And they go, "Post frame? What's that?" They go, "Oh, no, it's pole barn. The round poles that they stick in the ground. where the barns are built and all that. And they go, oh, yeah, I get it. So the reason why I bring that story up is nobody knows about pole barns and post frame. They just don't know. So it's, we've got such a great opportunity to create and build awareness among consumers, but also around other builders that are involved in stick and block and steel type construction techniques. So that was kind of fun to talk to my friends who basically said they have no idea what industry I'm in and what it's all about until you associate it about round poles and with barns and stuff like that they drive down the country road, and they go, oh, yeah, I get it now. And then they go, why are you in the business? I said, well, it's pretty cool. I mean, we build buildings for ag, we build homes, we build light commercial. There's a lot going on here that nobody knows about, and that's the opportunity for all of us. And so, that's kind of a nutshell of my career. Is got an MBA in marketing and finance, so I'm pretty good at knowing numbers, from a financial perspective. I've run a few companies, in the past, but my passion is really the messaging. Why are we doing the things we're doing, and who benefits from that? Is it us? Is it our consumers? Is it the builders? Is it the distributors? And if all of us can benefit from why we're doing the things that we're doing, that's how you win. That's the winning formula. And post frame is on that cusp of really extending outside of this kind of square box that it's been in for many, many years. And I'm really happy to be part of the industry.
Well, that's awesome. And you talk about the post frame, and it's funny. I just want to shout out to a buddy, Barry Brocksterman, just popped in with a comment. Great product. What's he say here? Used these several times in the old lumberyard days. Barry, used to be in the lumberyard business in Kansas.
Awesome. And thanks, Barry. Appreciate it.
Good friend of mine and post frame guy. And but you brought up the pole barn thing, and it's funny because I've in my lifetime of doing this, I've been in, I guess lack of a better term, call them cocktail parties, if you will. I'm not sure that's really quite the right term, but and everybody talking about what they do. And it's funny, you go, well, I'm in post frame, or like you said, and they go, what's that exactly? What are some of the stuff you sell? And I remember one time, one of my great manufacturers, MWI Components, I said, well, I sell barn door track. And they go, wait, tell me what that is. And I explained it. And they're going, you make a living doing that? I said, yeah, actually I do. And life is pretty darn good. I mean, it's a fun industry, right? It's just it's great people. And I'm sure all industries are that way. Probably they all are probably, but boy, the people in the industry that we get to know, get to deal with, it makes getting up and going to work every day fun, right?
Yeah, it really does. It really does. I want to give a shout out to my wife, Victoria. Probably should have mentioned her name. She's my Canadian love. I met her 26 years ago, and has really been a big part of my success. Nice. It kind of keeps you on your straight and narrow as we start to waver and do crazy things. She's all about having a positive attitude. Think positive, be positive, and everything will be positive. So it's a great attitude from her, and I certainly thank her for sure. So.
Well, good. And even a mutual buddy of mine, Wes and I, Eric Bam, just popped up with a hey Victoria. So she's got shout outs already.
There, that's fantastic.
Where in Canada is she from?
Toronto.
Okay.
Yeah, she was born and raised. I met her when I was living in Toronto, Ontario, working for Brunswick at the time, and that's where we met.
Okay.
So here's a guy from Chicago that's venturing into a new country, and which is nothing like the United States. Although sometimes it appears like it is, but it's not, from a diversity and culture standpoint. And that's how we met, and it's been fantastic ever since.
Awesome, that's awesome. When you mentioned Norton Shores, which obviously is Muskegon area, and Brunswick makes sense because probably I may be one of the few people that actually know that's world headquarters for Brunswick, correct? Or at least, yeah. I know that because my younger son, Mark, which he's old now because I'm old, but he was a big bowler back in
Okay.
his youth.
Okay.
Many perfect games. I think he was a state champ in Michigan as a youth bowler, and I think he was 15th in the world in some international tournaments.
Really?
He was really,
Awesome.
really good. So he knew a lot about Brunswick, and he dragged me into that world that I knew nothing about.
Yeah.
Because I supported him, and we went to tournaments all over half the stupid world, but not the world, but all over the U.S. And it was a good time. That's a fun industry. That was a fun time for.
And bowling certainly changed a lot.
Yeah,
Back
there's
in the
a
day
science
where
behind
everything was.
that I never knew.
Yeah, I mean, back then was league oriented, and a little. You maybe had your birthday parties there, but it's more of a birthday party, fun entertainment than necessarily a league oriented. You got to commit to, 36 weeks straight, and I mean, who can commit going to
Right.
on a Tuesday at 7 o'clock to a bowling facility, for 6 straight months? Back then you probably could. Today,
Yeah.
it's really difficult.
It is.
But sometimes it's key to success is commitment, right? And so
Exactly.
when we look at how the post frame pole barn business is starting to evolve, it's really committing to the industry, and you're committing to be able to deliver product complete on time, undamaged, the way the consumer wants it, and when they want it. And over the past couple of years, that's been pretty tough to do that.
Oh, it's been a challenge, hasn't it? Boy, and I want to chat a little bit about the last couple of years, because that's just obviously as I'm sure you are, I can tell you are, we're forward thinkers and go forward, but you always have to start at what you knew and what you had so you can build upon the backstory, right? And
Yes.
Boy, it's been a backstory for the last couple of years, and we're still in all the supply chain issues and all those things. So, how's permacolumn? Before we even, if you don't mind, before we even do that, because I think most people that watch this show probably are aware, at least to some degree, what permacolumn is. But give us the 2.5 minute version of,
Sure.
what is a permacolumn? I know what it is, but you'll say it way better than I.
Well, our whole mantra is permanent foundation systems. As you know, when I first started out and told my friends that I'm in the post frame pole barn business, the first thing they thought about was a round wood or square post in the ground, right? Because that's what they attribute kind of post frame is wood in the ground, and this company developed a unique product that says no more wood in the ground. We're going to make a 5-foot precast concrete post with a bracket on it. It's a U bracket that the wood would attach to it. And then you put the 5-foot concrete post in the ground, and you go down, whatever your frost level is. If it's 3 feet or 4 feet, you'll put up to 4 feet and have about 12 inches above grade. But it's the coolest thing. It's precast concrete.
Yep.
It's like building a pyramid foundation. I mean, a pyramid's been around for thousands of years. I mean, how many wood structures have been around that long?
Right.
Not a lot, at least in the ground. Now, wood's fantastic above the ground, right? It's a high quality construction type material, but it doesn't thrive too well in the ground. Now, I get you got treated lumber out there that you get 40, 50, 60-year warranties on, and then that's fine too from an economic and budget standpoint. But this company wanted to provide another option, and that option is concrete. Whether you do a concrete post called permacolumn, and by the way, it's made out of 10,000 psi concrete. Now, what that means is that a runway that an airplane would land on is 8,500 psi. A sidewalk is 3,500. Ours is 10,000, which means it'll handle any frost freeze kind of condition, and it's going to last virtually forever, longer than what we want, than we'll be around for.
Right.
And it provides some stability. It provides a permanent foundation system. The other thing it does, it helps consumers look at post frame in a different manner. Because if you look at pole barns and post frame as wood in the ground and you're uncomfortable with it because you got a deck in the backyard that's rotted and fallen over, or you've got an old wood chair that you had in the back that's rotted and fallen over, they're going to go, why would I want to buy pole barn or post frame if there's putting wood in the ground. Now, there's perfectly good reasons why somebody would want to buy post frame wood in the ground from an economic standpoint, but we'll never get the customer to even consider post frame, not even think about it. They'll go right off to stud or block or steel that'll do a concrete pad. And we miss the opportunity as builders, as salespeople, as distributors, as lumberyards, to even have the conversation. So that's on the precast concrete side. We also make brackets, steel brackets, steel hardware type brackets, all in the U-frame for areas that code requires a slab foundation system or stem walls. A lot of the new ag buildings today, because they don't want the waste from poultry and from grain to run off into the ground to pollute the groundwater, you got to build these 4 to 6 foot stem walls. And we have a perfect product called Sturdy Wall Plus that fits right into the concrete that serves the purpose. So it's all about concrete. It's all about getting wood off the ground. And it's all about creating an environment where consumers believe they're getting a real good investment for a permanent foundation. And that's what we're all about. Build better, build stronger, build the last.
There you go. There you go.
Right?
Exactly.
And it's been fun. It really has. But it's been a joy. It's been a joy to deal with builders. Many of them get it. Some of them don't, but that's okay. It takes time.
Right.
But the whole idea is good, better, best.
Yep.
Right. So if a builder's talking to a consumer and say, hey, you know what? I've got these various packages. Some packages include, a solid 6x6 post. Some are nail lambs or glue lambs, right? Posts. And by the way, you can also get a permacob. Let's talk about the features and benefits of all of them, and you make the choice.
Right.
It's all about selling upgrades. You've had many guys on your show talk about upgrades. Upgrades are real important because consumers don't know.
Right.
The lumberyards and the builders, they're the subject matter experts.
Correct.
Right. And they got, well, you're in the business, with Marco and MWI and Steel Tide. I mean, you know about selling upgrades and stuff. It's not for everybody.
Right.
But if you don't bring it up and talk to them, then nobody can have a choice.
Well, and it's our job as sales pros, and that's what I do every day. You as president of the company aren't involved in that maybe every single day as quote a sales guy, but I would say that everybody in every business is a salesperson, right? Everybody's involved in sales in some shape or form. Yep. What you're doing right now is doing some salesman stuff, right? That's what you're doing. You're talking about your product.
Well, you invited me on. I'm going to take it.
Well, it's awesome, actually. But the point is, we're not doing our customers a favor. We're doing them injustice if we don't expose them to the options and the opportunities that are out there, and then let them make that decision, right? And I think, and I'd love to hear your thought on this, but I think a mistake a lot of sales guys make in any product, whether it's in our industry or in any industry, is they allow their personal, oh, geez, I would never buy that, or I would never pay that much, or geez, that's too much money, to interfere with the presentation to the customer, because their customer may very likely go, well, you may say, I'd never pay an extra $100 a pole to have a permacob. I don't know what it is in today's world, but there might be 10 guys out there who go, I do that all day long. I'm only going to bill it one time, right? Why wouldn't I do that? So I think that's a mistake. Do you agree that's a mistake we make as a profession?
Well, I'll give you a perfect example. When I moved here to Fort Wayne about 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 4.5 or so, the housing market here was pretty tight, and the homes Victoria and I looked at just didn't meet what our needs were. So we decided, okay, we're going to live in an apartment for a while, and we're going to build a new home. I mean, Fort Wayne is like ranked number 3 in the country for cost of living, and so we said, hey, this is a good opportunity for us to get the house that we want and that we would love and enjoy. And so Victoria managed the whole process. I'm busy running permacob. She's kind of GCing and making sure everything is the way that she likes it. When we closed on the house, the neighbor next door is building a house too. I'm meeting him for the first time. I'm talking to him, and he's got an extra wide, I think it's a F-150 long extended cab. And I go, how are you fitting that in your garage? He goes, I'm getting them to extend my garage 4 feet. And I'm thinking, that's an option? I could have extended my garage 4 more feet so I could have extra, because I was complaining already. We just moved in, we don't have enough storage, right?
Yep.
We never have enough storage.
Exactly.
I could have extended my garage 4 feet, and I never knew it.
Right.
And I was so upset at the salesperson for the builder that they didn't tell me that.
Yep.
Because it had nothing to do with money. It had to do with identifying a need that I have, and probably a need I never even knew that I wanted until I found out my neighbor had it.
Right.
And so that's my point, is that builders should never assume, salespeople should never assume, lumberyards should never assume what they think the customer needs and wants without asking the question. And also presenting all the options. Let them decide.
Right. Right. Well,
and I get it, because contractors want to sell the way they sell, right? Because that's the way Grandpa did it, and I get it, because everybody wants to have discipline, everybody wants to have process. That's how you identify your costs. So when you bid out a project, you know what's going to cost, you know what your labor is, right? You know what the hours you're going to put in, you know all about the transportation and stuff. But boy, there's a missed opportunity, and it has nothing to do with making money.
Exactly.
Okay? The end result may be you can make more money. It's all about the credibility that you instill in your company and your messaging by giving consumers options. And it's not hard. You just got to be able to articulate it.
Exactly.
And what really hit home for me with permacolumn is one of the strategies prior to me coming in here was it's all about concrete, which is better than wood, and there's no in between, right? If you put concrete in, you're a good guy. If you put wood in, you're a bad guy. That's not it.
Right.
It's about creating options. It's okay. Sure. How do you convince a builder who's been putting wood in the ground for the past 50 years to say, by the way, you got to go tell all your customers that wood in the ground is bad?
Right.
No.
No,
what you do is you offer permacolumns as a good, better, best strategy, so that you say, hey, it's new and it's innovative. It just came out. I wanted to share it with you, and then let them decide. It's so easy. It is, and you can apply that with with screws and vents and steel. It doesn't matter. It's the idea of making the difference, whether it's 26 gauge or 29 gauge, whether it's Kynar or 40-year paint. Right? I'm getting down to the weeds a little bit.
Right.
But man, it all matters. And the ones that get it, Randy, you could look at the top 10 of all the builders out there, and or the top 10 of the contractors. They all get it. They're already there.
Exactly. Well, and it's funny because if I've had guys, and we've all had this, I'm sure, Mark, and I love when, my customers are a little different. They are? I don't think they are. You may have select customers, but there's levels of customers and where they think. But I don't think yours in Missouri are particularly different than mine in Ohio, for example, as far as their thinking. You got to present options, as you said. And I brought up, I remember one time, along with what you're talking about, is I talk about a fastener that's a 40-year fastener versus a non-warranty fastener. Costs a few bucks more. Of course it does. But then you go, well, my guys won't pay that. Oh, so I guess I misunderstood and I'm embarrassed. I thought you guys sold a number 1 grade steel 40-year panel. Well, I do. Well, don't they pay more money for a 40-year warranty panel than a number 2 panel? Well, it's almost like, yeah, you dummy, of course they do. Then don't you think they might pay a little bit more for a 40-year screw to go with that than a non-warranty screw? But it's all a matter of what you just said, of presenting that option. And you know what? Take it whichever way you want to go. I'm not, at the end of the day, I'm going to get a sale, right? That's our ultimate goal, right? But we're going to get a sale by offering all of the options to customers. And then we come out of that as a much better thought of sales pro, right? But
you do, but you know what? You can't get everybody.
Exactly.
Right. And so our goal isn't 100% share. Our goal is to get one customer at a time and build on that.
Right.
Because everybody's unique and different, and they all have their thoughts and beliefs and their whys of why they do the business the way they do. I want to find like-minded people.
Yeah.
Now, do we have a specific criteria of customers like lumber yards and builders that we're looking for? Absolutely. I don't want to waste my time with people that are very comfortable with the way they're doing it. There's nothing wrong with that. But there's a lot of innovative products out there. Permacom is one of them, and we're proud of it. So how do you make yourself different from everybody else?
Right.
We spend a lot of money on Icc certification.
Okay.
And what Icc certification is stands for International Code Council. It's an umbrella certification. And under that umbrella says you meet the International Building Code and the International Residential Codes of the United States. So when you are Icc certified, like we are and three of our precasters are, you will be code compliant in any environment, in any situation in the United States, period. And any inspector that says doesn't really understand it, we've got the ECR reports. There's all kinds of reports associated with Icc. Now, why is Icc important? Icc is important for the elevation of post frame, because our competition is not the pole barn builder down the street. Our competition is stud, steel, and block construction.
Right.
And there's a lot more of them out there. It's 10 times the size of our industry, and we've got to tap into that. And the only way to do that is you got to prove that the quality of our products have the highest engineering status you can get, which Icc does that, as well as having engineered staff drawings from architects. It's all about elevating post frame, because if we can elevate this in the eyes of the consumer and get some builders to move over to our side of the fence to be able to build more of them, the whole industry grows. This is about growing the industry. The rest of us will all benefit.
Right.
We need more innovation. We need more Icc certified engineered products. And we need a lot more people to come into this industry, because you know what? We're frogs in the boiling water. We don't know it's hot. Anybody new that comes in here goes, hey, this is hot. Get out of this thing.
Yeah.
Right? So that's
Exactly.
the fun part, is being able to educate folks about what they can do. And by the way, it's all about choice. If you want to do it the way you're doing, I'm okay with that. I don't need everybody. I just need one.
Right. Yep.
Right?
Yep.
I'd like to get a big one, but
the big one, but we need one. Well, and what you're doing and what you're talking about doing is what has been elevating and what will continue to elevate our industry that we live in, you and I. It's so much more than just, I'm going to age myself here, but going back to the old commercials, Oldsmobile used to have, it's not your daddy's Oldsmobile anymore. And it's not your grandpa's pole barn anymore. It's not just this super cheap backyard temporary structure that's thrown up. Of course, there's some of those, but it's really the growth in this industry, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, is going to be just what you're talking about in the commercial, the residential, the industrial, the barn dominiums, all those things that are. A few weeks ago I had Mike the pole barn brewer on my show several weeks ago now, and
sure.
He's big into barn dominiums. There's a lot of these people. Without these innovations and without all this technical background, you're not going to get into that world, right? You're just not.
You're not, because the competition isn't priced down the street from ABC pole barn. Mm-hmm. The competition is the guy can build a garage or a toy hut in the backyard using a slab foundation and stud. They've been doing it for a gazillion years. It's these new home construction guys. And by the way, we all know about post frame in the construction. I mean, post frame is solid, it's easy to build, it's economical, and the thermal properties of a post frame building versus a regular stud is second to none. Right. And yet nobody really knows about this. I mean, it's exciting to be part of this industry and know that there's such a long runway for us when it comes to being able to get people educated. But it takes time, and it takes architects. We've got to get the architects to understand what our products are, to be able to spec our products more often. And I think the bigger pole barn post frame builders, have their own engineering teams, have their own architects, and they're kind of doing it. But there's some new software companies that are coming up that are supporting kind of the middle range pole barn builders or post frame builders too. They need that. You can't compete in the residential side, light commercial side, without having the ability to meet all the codes in any of those urban areas, and also have engineered type drawings associated with it. Otherwise, you're not going to be competitive, and you're going to be building out in rural areas. And rural is still strong, but it's a declining market.
Right.
And in fact, frankly, one of our products, Sturdy Wall Plus, which is the brackets, it's got rebar coming out of it, 18 inches. It's designed to go into a sonotube. I think you guys have seen Kyle from R&R Buildings. I mean, Kyle's like the #1 social media guru out there. He's got 1 million followers or something.
Right.
So he uses our product, but it really allows you to get into some of these code areas where they don't want to have any kind of post in the ground. So you got to do a sonotube, or you got to do a stem wall. But the Sturdy Wall Plus has been actually approved by the United States Department of Agriculture.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Because they love they love post frame technology, post frame construction, but they want those stem walls now.
Right.
No longer are they building stuff that's on the ground.
Exactly.
Especially when you're with livestock and poultry and all that. And barn dominiums, for the most part, they're slab foundations, so they can use our brackets. And then the wood that's going on those brackets is non-treated wood anyhow, so it's safe for any kind of residential application per se. But this is just leading industry. There's so many cool products out there. I guess if we all got together somehow, and I know the NFPA and everybody's trying to promote it, and I'm a big supporter of that. But the industry is really changing, and it's changing fast. And COVID has changed that. COVID has taken what I thought 5 to 10 years and really changed it in the past 18 months, right?
How so? I'd like to hear more about that.
Well, you got the flight from the cities because people don't feel safe. So where are they going? Well,
out in the country.
They're probably not going to they might be going to other smaller cities in the South, but I think generally they're going out to the suburbs. And so that's why you have this big influx of construction, and obviously new construction is going gangbusters. It never recovered from the 2008 crash. So we're still millions of homes behind on just basic, stick frame, stud frame homes. So post frame can have a play on that because that's an alternative method to be able to come in and build. You think you can build a home that's got spans of 60 feet, and you go 14, 15. There's the cool stuff you can do. Then you put modular walls into this barn dominium. So you just get married, you got no kids, so you got wide open spaces. You start bringing kids into the world, and you can start moving these modular walls around, and you got yourself room, bedrooms and stuff. I mean, super cool stuff. We just got to move. We just got to move faster with this. The other one is people stayed home. Right? Did you and I do we go to any trade shows? No. How many virtual trade shows did we do that just about killed you?
Yeah.
Because they're not, it's really hard to have a virtual show, right? The education part was good, but the being a virtual booth, my experiences were not that great versus face to face. But we learned that we could still conduct business and not necessarily have to walk in the front door of somebody, right? It should never replace the fact that there's face-to-face relationship building, because people buy from people.
Right.
They buy from people who trust you. You got to have a great product. That's the price of admission.
Right.
It really is. So what makes the difference? The difference is your word. If you're going to do something, you're going to do it. The hard part that's happened so far is changes happen so rapidly. It's caught a lot of us by surprise. Right. I don't think there's a single company that I'm aware of that hasn't had a phenomenal year, either finishing 2020 or in 2021, right? I mean, unless you miss something completely. And part of it's got to do increased demand Costs have been a big problem. We all know that. And I don't want to get too deep into that. We've all had to face the cost variability. If your commodity costs are crazy, if you're kind of a custom engineered like we are, your costs are still going up, but it's a little bit more manageable because we're not a day-to-day operation. We buy in long runs, so we're able to kind of smooth it a little bit. But the idea is inventory. Have product when people want it. And by the way, not so price sensitive.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
But industry continues to grow. We continue to support as best we can. We're only as strong as our distributors and lumberyards, right? It's not about what I do or what our company does. It's about how the channel performs. And does the channel have inventory, and can they sell product and still make money at it? Because it's tough. It's tough with availability. It's tough with cost, and it's tough with labor.
Yeah.
So back to the industry side, I think COVID has really been a nice shot in the arm. It's kept people at home. They haven't traveled. They save money. I'm looking in my own backyard. What do I need to do? Let me build something. Right? Mm-hmm. Everybody's antsy. So what do they want to do? I want to buy something, or I want to build something,
right.
or I'm moving somewhere. Right? They want change because we're so sick of what's going on. We want to do something different. And boy, that's been fantastic. For the post frame business, really any construction business.
Yeah. It's been awesome.
I think it's going to continue.
Oh, I agree. I want to touch on a couple things, and maybe we'll finalize on something that I made a note earlier when we was chatting. I wanted to get your take on, but I had a couple people pop up with a couple things here that I wanted to kind of acknowledge. Ray Campbell, good friend of ours, Wes and mine's out in the Dakotas. He said there's a huge movement in South Dakota for guys seeing cars with New York and California plates. So he's talking to exactly. They're coming into that Sioux Falls area. They're going, I'm out of the city. I'm out of the state. I'm moving out someplace wide open air, right? Having built a new life.
Yeah. It's perfect. Well, and how many people? You've heard stories in Florida. There's a lot of developments, especially in your neck of the woods, which is Naples and then up in Sarasota, stuff like that. They got people coming from California, New York, and New Jersey, sight unseen, right? Because they're selling their $2 million homes, and you can buy a mansion in Florida because of the cost of living difference, and they're doing it sight unseen. Yeah. And that's okay. I think that's okay. People with interest rates as low as they are, and under 3 from a mortgage perspective, costs are going up. We see it every day with inflation. But as long as interest rates are low, we got a long runway. We're going to go well into 22, into 23 and 24. But the innovation's got to be there. We got to be able to deliver product quicker. We got to be able to deliver exactly what they want. We got to provide a lot more options and flexibility. Cost is always a consideration, but if you provide options, let the consumer decide. We need to be ICC certified. We've got to elevate our industry. We can't do the things we've done in the past. If you want to grow, one of the things that's really occurred this year, Randy, is when the industry grows as fast as it's growing, right? Whether it's being new homes or post frame buildings being built, there's a lot of new people coming into the market, right? So whether they've worked for bigger companies and they go, hey, you know what? I've got that bug. I want to start my own business. So I got my teeth cut for 15 years with one company. And so they join up with a bunch of other people and they go into business for themselves. And you know what they look at first? They look at the products that are going to give them a competitive advantage in the marketplace.
Right.
And they're looking at us.
There you go.
That's and they're awesome. They're looking at things that you're doing, and there needs to be more of that. There needs to be the windows, the doors, and the steel, and the foundation systems like ours, because these guys want to provide a competitive advantage because they know, one, what it takes to win in the marketplace because they work for a company within the post-frame business. Mm-hmm. They also know, though, that there's other competition out there from other forms of construction, and they got to be different. Right. You just awesome. Have to be successful, and they're loving it. Yep. And we are too. And sometimes the best form of change is to get some newbies. Get the people that are in the pot of water that's boiling, and get some new people look down there and go, "That's hot. I'm not getting in there. I'm going to start my own pot."
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
the people. That's the people we want, and that's what we're
Exactly.
going after. And I know
Yeah.
you're trying to do that too with the companies you represent.
Yep.
Um, so it's been challenging. There's no doubt about it. It's been a great year, but I'm sure you've been stressed and challenged more than ever before. Is that fair?
Oh, that's fair. It's an interesting last, say, 2 years, because it's been great growth, excellent business, but at the same time, more challenges probably than ever in the other 38 years of my doing this crazy game.
I know.
But that's okay, because that makes us better, you know.
It
And
it it does, but also, and we have a lot of commonality. I think because we've been kind of cocooned a little bit, it's allowed us to step back and reflect what's really important to us. Family and children and grandkids and things of that type. And then you look at what being successful in business does in order to help support the things that are most important to you, which is the family and children and things that you really want to do. And I think it's been a big wake up call for a lot of people. Certainly for myself, to be able to prioritize what's most important. And that's uplifting everybody around you's lives. Uh, we've doubled the amount of employees we've had here, and think of the impact on those employees' lives and families we've had in our community. That's pretty cool. We got a great product, but we also got great people. Remember the day? Go back a few years ago when we go $15 an hour. There's no way we could afford to pay $15 an hour, right? Remember those conversations about all that minimum wage,
yeah.
$15 an hour? I can't get somebody to pick up the phone for $15 an hour.
Right.
So that's blown that off. It's a crazy world. I wouldn't have. I guess we got to do the best we can in order to navigate through it. And it's been super entertaining, but we've had a chance to really affect lives, and that's what's most important.
Yeah.
In the industry itself, and the people here that work at Permacom, and the 10 distributors that we have. I mean, if you go to our website and say, hey, I'm interested in Permacoms or our Sturdywell Plus or Sturdywell products, check us out at distributors. I mean, we're located throughout the country. Our guys have got inventory. They'll deliver complete on time, and should be able to help fulfill any kind of needs you have. And we're helping their families too. They're growing just like we are.
Exactly.
And that's been the fun part about the whole industry's growing, and we're all participating in it. There's not a better spot to be in than what we're in right now.
Well said. It is. I have people ask me sometimes because my bit of gray hair and I've been around forever. What's your end game? When are you going to stop doing this? I said, why would I stop doing something this much fun? Right? It is a blast. It's a good time. So, well, Mark, maybe a minute or two, because I know you've been very generous with your time already, but you're a kind of a believer in social media, a believer in virtual, a believer in, and you had mentioned earlier about trade shows, and we're just finally, and it's interesting because I'm leaving on Sunday to head to Tampa, Florida for the MetalCon show.
Yeah.
And I was out in Vegas a few weeks ago to the International Roofing Expo, and you and I will be together in Nashville, I believe.
Yeah, Nashville in January, NFBA. Yeah, absolutely.
NFBA. So some of these shows are coming back slowly, but and even as they do come back, because it is a necessity for the shows or for the magazines, for the people to put the shows on. And I understand all the economic parts of it, and I'm a big supporter of them. I don't mind going to them. But the thing, I know that I found, and I think you found, and I guess maybe the last little conversation that I'd like to have is, we found ways to augment all that. And we don't have to go back to we got to wait for that show. We got to wait for that customer visit. We've got to wait, because now we've got so many tools that are, this right here, for example,
yes.
in social media and virtual videos, all the stuff we can do on a day-to-day basis. The term I like to use is force multipliers, right? You can do so many more things in a day, a week, a month than what we ever could. And I think we got better at it in the last 2 years because we were forced to, right?
Yeah. It was interesting. Back in April is when I got April of 2020, I got my first Zoom account. Right.
Okay.
I paid like $14.95 a month for my Zoom account because after 25 minutes or something, they cut you off. So I said,
Well,
all
right,
right,
right.
I'll pay for it. But what I learned is there's a different way to communicate with people. Okay. The preferred way, of course, is face to face. But when you can't have it, you still got to be able to communicate. The phone's all right, but when you can have videos, whether it's FaceTime or Zoom or some of the other ones, that are out there, Instagram, etc., take advantage of. Right. And we all kind of played around with doing Zoom videos and making copies and sending them out to folks like that. But I finally realized that the money that I was saving by not going to any trade shows last year and going into this year, I spent on educational videos. You go to Permacom YouTube, LLC, there are 36 educational videos we put together on how to install Permacom, how to install SturdyWall Plus, cookies, uplift anchors, what's it all about, why is post frame an important construction technique to have versus everybody else. There's a lot of instructions and education there for consumers, for builders. And if you're a builder out in the field and you're on your iPad and you're sitting in your pickup truck and you see a Permacom for the first time, you don't know how to install, there you go. It's all there. So it's been very, very useful in being able to provide information on a 24/7 basis. We redesigned our entire website back in February 2021 to be able to be more conducive to there's our YouTube page right there. There's a gazillion. And by the way, these guys that are speaking, they're builders. Some of them are distributors. They're telling you exactly what you need to do and why you need to do it in short clips. Some are 5 minutes, most are 2 minutes. It's very educational that somebody can listen to. So if you're bored in the middle of the night and you want to go to Permacom's YouTube page, feel free. Just put it on scroll, and it'll run through all of them. But the important thing is providing information that people need it. Now, in regards to trade shows, I think there's an opportunity with trade shows for those that want to go to get. Some people just want to get out, right? I'm sick of being in the office. I want to get out. I want to go to Nashville, right? Some people don't want to go out. They find that, by the way, I'm dropping $10,000 to go to Nashville to go to a trade show. Is there an interim? Can those who want to go there and be physical there, and there are those who want to do it virtual, can we do both at the same time? Can we have virtual cameras in all of our booths? So if somebody wanted to visit us virtually, we would be right there, say, hey, here's what we're doing, blah, blah, blah. Because I attended the IBS show virtually this year, LMC, Lumbermen's Merchandising Corporation, Big Lumberman Co-op Group, LBM Advantage, another lumber co-op group. They all had virtual trade shows. The education was good. I loved it, but it was very difficult.
Right.
Because we're P, so if somebody's scrolling down from A on all the exhibitors, they never get to us.
Right.
So again, there's value, and then there's opportunity to create new value. And I think there's a hybrid mix here. We haven't figured it out yet. Maybe guys like Wes can jump in and say, hey, if you want to go to Nashville NFBA show, go. You see all these guys. But by the way, if you want to still go but still sit at your desk, we'll give you that experience of what it's like to be there. If we can do that, man, that's a home. That's a home run. I don't know what that looks like yet. I'm not that smart, but I'm leaving it up to guys like Wes or some other folks, because I'll tell you, there's an opportunity here to make some money. Right. With providing that hybrid. Social media has been a big plus for us. A lot of it's been organic, but I've gotten all of our precasters to build their new websites with Permacom logos and stuff. They're taking our YouTube videos and hashtagging it so we can create this whole environment. Because Kyle from R&R Building, we talked about Kyle. Mm-hmm. He's like the Coke of the industry. Okay. Right. I mean, he's got that. We're going to be Pepsi. Yep. All right. We can't be Coke. I have no intention to replace him because he's phenomenal what he does. But he's been doing social media for 7 years. Wow. We just started 7 months ago, so we got a ways to go. The key is start. Right. Start it. Learn from it. Learn fast. Fail fast. Keep moving forward. Get yourself aligned with people that are innovative thinkers, that want to move as fast as you do, that will challenge you and say, hey, by the way, there's another way to think about it. Oh, by the way, let's sprint a little bit. A lot of times it's marathon work, but let's
Mhm.
do sprint. Let's do it together. That's the fun part about this industry.
Exactly.
There's so much more to grow with.
Love it.
You're an
Me too.
innovator. I mean, back in February, the NFPA did an announcement that you're coming out with these podcasts. And I'm thinking, what a great idea. So I sent you an email and said, hey, tell me more about it. He says, hey, you want to get involved? I said, yeah. He goes, well, he said, I'm booked up till October. This is in February. I go, I'm okay with that. I figured by then you would have got it smoothed out, right?
Yeah.
But no, it's been great. I really appreciate the fact that you have invested time and effort to be able to bring industry folks, whether it's the metal industry, fastener industry, post frame, et cetera, together to have a conversation. I think that's super cool. And I really applaud you for that. I really do. Because I know it's hard work. I know the planning is tough.
It is, but I appreciate that, and I can say that speaking to what you said, as anybody that follows me anymore understands that I'm a very very big, and you hit a word earlier, hybrid, right? It's a hybrid. It's not all just. I remember back, Mark, maybe 12 months ago. I don't know. I can't remember what it was. Time flies, and there was two distinct camps. There was the old normal, and I'm just waiting until this all goes back to old. Or back to the old way. Then there was the new, and we're never going back. Nobody's ever going to leave their house again. Right. Nobody's ever going to wear pants, right? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Right. Bedazzled or not, nobody's going to wear pants, and we're going to have 7 polo shirts hanging. We're just going to be on video all day, right?
Right. Exactly.
And very quickly, I figured out that I say bunk to both of those. We're not going either way 100%. There's got to be a hybrid in there somewhere.
Yeah.
And different industries are different. As you alluded to also earlier, Mark, our industry still is a bro hug and a handshake and coffee and donuts in the morning, a burger and beer in the evening after work, pizza lunch. People want to see each other in our industry,
they do.
More so than some, right?
They do, that's right.
But there's so many things in addition to, sometimes instead of, but I like to look at it as more of an augmentation of that. It's a force multiplier. Again, I used that word earlier, but it allows us to, in between times that I can see 30 people next week at MetalCon in Tampa, I can see 30 people today sitting at my desk, making phone calls and doing Zoom meetings and sending out, 4 posts on social media, right? You could just be, you can be more in off in the comfort of your home sometimes. And then when you do travel, you can put more meaningful travel in, or more meaningful effort into the travel, I find. So it is good to hear somebody else that understands and loves that concept, because that's the biggest thing that came out of this whole. Nobody wanted this COVID thing, right?
Right.
And we can forget all the sides, right, and the political sides and all that. The bottom line is we've had what we've had for the last 2 years to deal with, right?
Right.
What do we learn from that time frame, and what did we bring to it as we move forward to use, I think, going forward? And let's say we move smoothly out of this, and then we've learned a lot, and we can be better. But we've also learned that if something else comes up, it's like, okay, that's fine.
Right.
I mean, we've done it before. We got an answer now.
Right.
And that's the way I view things, and it appears you feel the same way.
Yeah, it's adaptability. I mean, that's what Americans are all about, right? It's adaptability in the face of uncertainty. Whether it's COVID or business or family issues, whatever the case may be, sometimes you just have to step back and say, okay, what's really going on, and can I move forward with everything that's happening? And it's been hard. I mean, every one of us has really, we've lost people, for various reasons. Some of it has to do with COVID, et cetera. It's been hard, but we're all in this together. Mm-hmm. And so whether you're working to improve your family, or you're working to help with your kids out, or you're working to improve your business, it's really the same passion. It just is. So align yourself with people that think like you, that feel like you, and that want to run with you. And we want to run. I want to run in the post frame industry. I know you do too, Randy.
Exactly.
And let's run with discipline. I don't want to blast over every pothole and get a flat tire, right? So
Right.
let's have some discipline. And man, let's have a long runway. Let's have some vision. And let's have some fun. I had to look up the definition of fun the other day in the dictionary, because frankly, I've been working so hard, and revenues are up and we're making money and stuff like that. But am I having fun? We kind of forgot, right? We kind of forgot what that is. So I looked up the dictionary and I go, yeah, okay, I get it. I used to feel that way. So again, it's stepping back, maybe smelling the roses a little bit more.
Exactly.
And appreciate the things you have that, with my wife, Victoria, and family and stuff. That's really the most important.
Exactly.
For me.
Well said. Well said. Well, Mark, you gave me darn near an hour. I appreciate the time, my friend. Okay. And it's been awesome. And if I don't talk to you before, we'll see you in Nashville.
Yeah, Opryland. That'll be fun. I love that.
Opryland Hotel.
Yeah,
I've heard rumors that I might do a little karaoke one night, but probably not.
Well, I got to be there for that.
Yeah, you don't. No. It would take. There's nothing that would get me to do that. Firstly, because Mark, I can only remember about 4 words of any song.
Yeah. Well, you get to read the prompter.
Well, you do, but then I noticed with musicians. I don't know if you've noticed this. Thank you, Barry. Appreciate it, brother. All these artists the musicians, they get the words wrong. They get them wrong. It's my way.
That's true.
It's very disappointing to me. But do you think with the money they make that they could do better?
Well, I hope you could recover. I hope you could recover from your disappointment.
I'll probably be okay. Yeah, Barry said we have done some Lee Greenwood before. Barry and I have done a little God Bless America in a little club in downtown Tulsa, Oklahoma. That was, it brought tears to people's eyes.
Wonderful. I lived in Tulsa for 30 years.
I know that's what you mentioned.
Yeah.
What brought tears, though?
I loved it.
Yeah. You know what brought tears to their eyes, though, actually, Mark, was that would you please quit? But, anyway, it still brought tears, and that was important. So, last question about Tulsa. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, hey, when you can laugh about our own weaknesses, that's a good.
Exactly. Did you ever eat at the Bull in the Alley?
Huh?
You ever eat in the Bull in the Alley?
I've heard of it, but I did not. Is that where you get? Is that the pancakes and the beef? No, and the beef.
Well, no, I don't know about pancakes, but it's down near the Prairie House Brewery and the Hunt Club down in that part of town, if you know where those are at. It's just funny because, and then I'll get out of here. I was with these guys, and they said, let's go to eat. Okay, let's go eat. And they kept saying, we're going to go to the bowling alley. I'm hearing bowling alley. And I'm thinking, I think we could do better than that, maybe. But, they make good frozen pizzas, throw them in the little oven. I guess I'm fine. Not against that. And they go, oh, you're going to love the bowling alley. I'm going, okay. We walk down this alley, a nondescript alley. And I'm going, this seems weird.
Okay.
And all of a sudden there's this door, just a door. And then it clicked. There's this brass bull above the door. And it's called Bull in the Alley because it's in an alley and there's a brass bull. You walk inside, Mark, and it's like, I don't know, 4-star, 5-star. I mean, the help's got tuxedos on and
wow.
As good a food as Barry just said. I was with Barry. He just popped up on there.
Well, you must be a very special guy to get treated to something that's got a bolt on the door. And that's fantastic.
Yeah, it was a good time, but good time. Well, Mark, I appreciate your time very much. And if I don't talk to you before, we'll see you off screen for a minute here, but thank you very much. I appreciate it. Very, not only entertaining, but educational and inspirational and everything I thought it would be.
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity.
Oh, absolutely. We'll see you in a few minutes, my friend.
Okay, take care.
All right. Cheers. There you go, folks. Mark Stover, president of Permacounts. That was some good stuff. I think he brought some fire today. Wes, I saw him in the background. Wave at me, Wes. Wes is waving at me. He's making notes again. He's making notes. We're going to have some sound bites from this one, too. Good stuff, though, by Mark. Great industry, great friends, great people. Yeah, it's just fun. So that'll wrap up a little bit longer one today, but it was a great time. Next week, I don't know where I'll be broadcasting from because it could be a hotel lobby. It could be my car, or it may be my home office in Florida. So I'm in Michigan right now, but I'm going to be in Tampa next week for the MetalCon show. And so we are going to do a little bit of something unique, Wes and I, next week for the show. We're going to have a mastermind group of ours, Megamind, and we're going to have a, what do we call it, a Megamind meetup, I guess we'll call it. It's going to be, many of you heard me talk about the mastermind group. It's a mastermind group that Wes and I, that's where Wes and I met, my director-producer, Wes, and good buddy and friend and pal. WesWyatt.com, by the way. If you need any of this sort of stuff that I'm doing here today, any kind of social media work, WesWyatt.com is the man, and I'm telling you that. Not just because he's a buddy and a pal, but I wouldn't be able to do any of the stuff that I do if it wasn't for what he brings to the table. So he's the real deal. But anyway, he's a member of this group, as am I. There's about 23 of us that met in the teeth of the COVID lockdown world, and we supported, we helped, we befriended each other. And so next week, any of our friends in the our mastermind group, the Megaminds, are going to pop on during Building Wins Live, and we're just going to have some open communications about where everybody's been, what they've been doing, what they've learned. And I think you'll find it intriguing, because this is not an industry group. This is a U.S. and Canada group of people in every industry you can think of, so you get a lot of broad perspective of some pretty good high-octane people. So I think you'll like it. So that's it. Next week, don't miss it. Remember this. I said this before, but I'll say it again because I like to say it. You only get one go-around, right? So live it, love it, and own it. And make today your best day ever. Till tomorrow. Tomorrow even better. Cheers, y'all.